Hi, everybody. I'll get all the small talk out of the way before the fighters get here, and we can roll right into asking them questions. So tonight was a very, very big night for the UFC here in the UK and in Europe and throughout the rest of the world. This event sold out in 36 hours. It was the first event live in 178 countries on Fight Pass tonight, and Fight Pass killed it tonight. It was amazing. Fans attending from all over the world, USA, Canada. 2 planes came in from Sweden, charter planes, Iceland, etc. It was the first time that we ever aired on live free TV in the UK. What else? This thing reached 194 million households just in Europe, 350 million around the world on television, and then including Fight Pass. So it was a big night for us, very big night. I'd like to thank everybody, the fighters, everybody put on an amazing performance tonight. The show was incredible. We had 14,604 people, a gate of $2,056,000. The fight of the night goes to Gustafsson and Manoa. Congratulations. The performance goes to Gunnar Nelson. Congratulations. And the other performance bonus goes to Gustafsson. Gustafsson won both bonuses. Congratulations. Some big dough. Hey, Luke, we didn't forget about you, kid. We'll take care of you. All right, great fight. Great night, amazing. Thank you, everybody involved. I'm done yapping. Who's got the first question? Right here.
Dana, can you take us through your impression of Mr. Gustafsson and his performance? If you can.
The fight was awesome. I mean, those guys were blasting, toe-to-toe, banging it out, and, you know, you can say whatever. I know there's going to be critics and people are going to have something to say. Mano was undefeated. Guy came in here to win tonight, came in to fight, was on the ground, got out of the submission. They stood back up, and he ends up finishing him by knockout. Absolute beast, and he's the biggest star in Europe right now. He's the biggest star. He's a huge star in America. I told you guys before when we did the EA cover vote, he won the thing. Yeah. So, I mean, I can't say enough good, positive things about him.
When you say critics, you mean in terms of
the idiots that are going to have something to say. Everybody has something to say when it's over. Just beating him to the punch.
And obviously that solidifies that he's got the next shot, regardless of what happens in the Jones-Teixeira fight.
Now we see what happens in Jones. Obviously, if Jones wins, we have a nasty rematch. If he doesn't, then it's him and Glover Teixeira.
Right. The co-main event, I wonder if you could talk about Michael's performance, and then also if you agreed with his assessment that Melvin was running in that fight.
Yeah, I think there are like the end of the fight when he had him against the cage, he could have engaged, but there's no doubt that Melvin ran the entire fight and was incredibly passive, the complete opposite of how he used to fight.
Sure. And then one last quick one. We saw a bunch of eye pokes tonight, which is not anything
Drives
new.
me crazy. I know. It drives me crazy.
But tonight,
I don't know what to do.
Well, that's not even really actually the question. But tonight we saw a couple guys who stopped and were assuming that the ref was going to just step in and call timeout.
Right.
Is there anything you can do for something like that? Just coach guys?
I think the fact that the guys stop is a very respectful thing. Listen, if the ref doesn't jump in, you have every right to jump on a guy and start hitting him. But you know if you poked him in the eye or not, and that's the way our athletes are. Our athletes are like that, and I respect that about them. The eye pokes drive me nuts, and I don't know what to do.
Michael Morgan, Woe TV. Brad, coming into this fight, a lot of people were looking at Siri and saying, well, okay, it might be a little bit unjust that he got here on the strength of the fans. I mean, just from a personal point of view, I thought he looked fantastic. How did he actually feel to you? Because I haven't seen you do that in a long while, in that you were quite reliant on takedowns.
I was listening to my corner, to be honest. Typical Brad Pickett would want to just, swing back and forth. But in my eyes, it was always my fight to win. I was a little bit disappointed that I didn't get the finish. I just seem to be one of those guys that I can fight. No disrespect to Neil, he's a very tough and game opponent. I'm one of those guys who could fight the best in the world and put on a good performance, and I can fight the guys, and I just fight at their level in a way. I believe I could have performed a lot better than tonight. A little bit disappointed in myself. Maybe a little bit of the pressure of my hometown and stuff like that, and opponent change and stuff like that. But hats off to Neil Seary. It was a game. It was very tough, and when I got to the floor, I think I was gonna submit him, but he kept it very defensive. He just held on, and he didn't give me any opportunities. I'm one of those guys. I'm good at finishing someone when the ground's a bit more fluent, where he's kind of nullified it, which was good for him, but didn't make it for one of my normal exciting fights.
Okay, second question to Alexander. Congratulations on the win. How did Jimmy, who has come into a lot of criticism in the past about his ground game and lack of it, how did he actually feel on the ground to you?
Well, he felt very strong. He's a very athletic guy, very strong guy. And he's tough as nails.
Hi, Chamat Karsandu for MMAmount.com. Firstly, Dana, when I asked you if Brad Pickett won this fight, would he get the next title shot against DJ, you said yes. Can you just confirm if that is still the case?
Did I say yes? I said, we'll see how this thing plays out. You guys always try to get me to match make 2 days before the fight happens. He's obviously...
Come on, Dana.
He's obviously in a great position. Tonight's win, he's in a great spot, and I love the kid. He's a great guy. He's an awesome fighter. He always brings it, and we'll see what happens.
And my follow-up question for Luke. Luke, can you just talk us through what it felt like to fight tonight in the O2 Arena in your hometown, and can you just give us an insight into who you would potentially like to fight next?
Yeah, it was probably the biggest moment of my life walking out in the O2. I've thought about it and visualized it for so long. So the walkout, will live with me forever. The fight, a fight's a fight. Wherever you fight, it's the same. My next opponent, like I said in the interviews afterwards, there's no one really that stands out to me at the moment in the middleweight division that I'm really looking to fight. If there was a name that did, I'd definitely be the person to say it. But right now, it's up to the man Joe Silver, and it's up to Dana White to let me know who they feel I'm ready to fight, because I think a performance like that, deserves a bump up and a good opponent.
And just one final one for Alex. Alex, you just heard Dana say that if John Jones wins, you'll be next in line. So does that officially make you John Jones' biggest fan?
Well, I just want to fight him. That's all I want. I want to fight him and I want to finish him.
Just a question for Dana. Dana, obviously, the Dublin card was announced during the week for July. Have you any potential fight in the pipeline? Is it going to be Conor McGregor headlining the show?
No, we don't have anything yet. I'm pretty confident Conor will be on that card. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, we don't have a fight.
There was talk of Cole Miller. Is that a possibility?
Huh?
There was talk of Cole Miller. Is that a possibility?
It's a possibility.
Okay, thanks.
Dana, after just at the front.
Okay.
After Ross pulled out of the fight, at any point did Melvin try and pull out? Because he just didn't look like he wanted to be in there tonight.
No. There was a lot of smack talk leading up to that fight, and those are the fights that everybody gets excited about, and 9 times out of 10 they end up like tonight. Those drive me crazy. I was excited for that fight. I thought, both really explosive athletes, both guys who, can mix it up really well, and it just didn't happen tonight. But listen, if I can have a card like tonight, or any night, do you take tonight and I take it anywhere in any city in the world, and one fight is a bad fight, I'll take that every time.
Michael, how do you feel personally about the fight? There was a lot of trash talk beforehand, and I think from a fan's point of view, it looked like you previously hurt him in training and he didn't want a piece of you. Is that true?
Yeah, it was obvious he didn't want a piece of me. I'm a little pissed off that our fight was considered bad. I came in here wanting to fight, and he was running and not engaging in anything, so he was talking a lot of shit before the fight, and I expected him to do something, but instead he didn't, and I did think he was a little scared of me in this fight.
Dana, can I just ask you to wax lyrical a little bit as well about Gunnar's performance? I I asked Gunnar himself last time, and he cut me right down. So I'm just curious to know what.
No,
what
he
thought
looked
was
amazing tonight. Think about it. He's been out with an injury now for a while. Comes back and fights a really, really tough guy. Guy with nasty stand-up knockout power, and he looked fantastic tonight. I was literally blown away with his performance tonight. Yeah, there'll be a little something for you too. Oh, you got yours. That's right. Never mind. That's all you're getting.
Hi, Fergus Ryan from the Setanta MMA show. Dana, first up, could you comment over here? Yeah. Could you comment on Neil Seery's performance tonight, but also how he handled himself throughout the week? Because obviously he was thrown in the deep end on 2 weeks' notice.
Yeah, he looked fantastic tonight, going in against a ranked, unbelievably tough guy. And every guy, I say it about every guy that comes in here for the first time. I don't care where you fought or what you've done, how big crowds you've been in front of. The UFC is a completely different level. When you come in here, the nerves get you and everything. Nothing got to that guy. He looked unbelievable tonight. He didn't gas out. He was going from the first round to the last round to the bell. I'm very impressed with him, and I look forward to seeing him fight again.
I'd say you're glad you signed him up for 4 fights then.
Yeah, very glad.
Yeah.
Should have signed him for 10.
And question then for Gunny Nelson. Congrats on the win, Gunny. How was the knee, first off?
100%.
Yeah. And secondly, would you like to fight in Dublin, given that you've a good relationship?
I'd love to.
Yeah, okay. Thanks a million.
Follow-up question for Gunnar. Gunnar, I know you're known for being an extravagant and flashy guy. I'm wondering if you have any plans for spending your $50,000.
No, I guess I'll find out when I get back home. I'm not sure, but it will be something fantastic.
Hi, my name is John. For French television, Cyril, we would like to know after this fight, what is the next step for you in UFC?
Like I said before the fight, this was my last. I've been fighting 22 years in various combat sports. I've had a fantastic career. I've enjoyed myself. That's the main part, the most important part, enjoying yourself. And that's it. It's time to move on. I've got plans. I want to open up a state team in Central Paris. I've got some acting to do. I've got plans. I've just put so many things to the side for 22 years. And when you want to be a professional fighter and compete at this kind of level, you've got to be 100% focused and 100% fighter in your mind. So it's time to move on.
After this experience in UFC, what will you keep in mind?
Being at the top. I was at the top in kickboxing and Muay Thai. I switched to MMA at one point in my career, and I reached the top. I fought in Pride and I fought in UFC. Who can do better?
Sebastian Martinez, MMA.se. Question for Alex. You went for a takedown pretty early in the fight. What was anything special that prompted that, or was it part of a game plan?
No, it was more like, I didn't really know what I knew what to expect from Jimmy was he's very explosive, very heavy hitter. So I took the fight as it came under the fight, and I saw my chance and I took it.
Despite the fact that you were the away fighter, I think the Swedish fans were very vocal. Did you hear them while you were fighting, and what did that mean for you?
Yeah, it means everything. Fans mean everything to athletes and to fighters especially. It was an amazing night, and the crowd was great.
Just one last one for Gunnar Nelson. Just after coming back after such a long time away from injury, and then having such a spectacular performance and hearing such praise from Dana White, what does all this mean for you, especially as you had about 300 Icelandic fans that came as well?
Well, I'm just very excited to keep going and hopefully fighting on the Dublin card. That'd be something exciting for me, you know. I'm really happy to be back.
Question for Gunnar. You look absolutely delighted with the bonus, but another submission win for you. But you spoke during the week about how your striking has come on leaps and bounds. Do you feel you got to showcase that tonight?
Yeah, I guess I have to watch the fight again, but I'm pretty sure I punched him down.
Two quick ones for Dana. Dana, I'm a little bit disappointed with the Dublin announcement because now I can't ask you when the UFC are coming back to Dublin. But realistically, it could be one of the quickest selling events in history. Would you plan on doing anything during the week, like an expo or a fight event? Because the Irish fans, as you know, are crazy for another UFC in Dublin.
I know everywhere we go, people ask us about the expo, and the expo has kind of become a Las Vegas thing. But I'm not saying we wouldn't travel it around throughout Europe too. But there's no plans for that for this event.
And finally, the UFC rely a lot on social media to gauge interest in things. A lot of discussion on Twitter tonight that the Channel 5 broadcast was actually a bit delayed by up to at least 10 minutes. Do you know what went wrong there?
Right. You know, I was saying tonight what a big night it was for us. I've been in the UK, in Europe since 2002, trying to get a television deal, trying to, get this thing going here. Have some patience, everybody. You know what I mean? We've been doing this for a long time in the United States. We're getting our feet wet here. We've been doing this for a long time, but we're working with these guys and trying to bring you guys what you've been waiting for so long, and we're finally here. Just have a little patience. Everybody was going crazy on Twitter. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about, and of course he doesn't. He knows nothing about the sport. That's why Forrest was there to kind of walk him through it. And a lot of people who tuned in tonight, we live in this bubble where we think everybody should know what an armbar is and everybody should know what's going on. Everybody doesn't. We're still, the growth for this thing is amazing. The potential for the sport, and we're taking baby steps here in the UK because there are a lot of people who tuned in tonight that know absolutely nothing about the UFC. Be patient, everybody.
Question for Mr. Johnson, over here. You said earlier this week that you had a clear plan of facing Melvin Gillard, and obviously it wasn't the Melvin was expected. What was going through your mind when the fight started?
When the fight started, I expected him to be pushing forward and trying to finish me, after all the things he was talking this week. I fought my game plan. My game plan was to put a little pressure on him and counter him when he came in with his hard shots and, stay focused and stay on my path. And, even though the fight didn't go as planned, I thought we were going to fight a little bit more. I'm still happy with the win, and, I'm just looking on the bigger and better things now.
Last year, about a year ago, you had a bad night in Stockholm in Europe, and it's been a pretty nice year since then. How do you reflect on that time?
Yeah, Stockholm was definitely a dark little time for me. I think I was out there too long before the fight, and I got burned out. So by the time when the fight got there, I was ready to go home, and I checked out mentally already. But that really put me where I needed to be. Obviously I just won 3 in a row, and I needed those 2 losses to really get back to how I used to fight and to really get focused and make a run for the title pretty soon.
One last quick one. I heard you had a good camp. You've been practicing with a Finnish visitor, Tom Niinimäki, over there. She said you looked good last week. So you want to give a shout out to Tom?
Of course, Tom's a good guy. He's an incredible 45er, and he is a great asset to our team. He helps everybody and pushes us, so we're glad to have him in South Florida.
Louis, quick question for you. You've come a long way now. You're sitting up on the stage in a new country, 14,000 people. Can you take me through the experience real quick? How it differed for you coming over here and fighting here than fighting in the States?
England's been great. The fans have been really cool. When I first came out, they were booing me a little bit when they were announcing my name, and my coach was like, "Don't let it get to you," and I'm like, "Don't worry about it. I love it," because I feed off the energy of the crowd, and I knew if I gave them a good performance, I can, turn it around. They'd be cheering for me in the end. But England was awesome. I would love to fight here again.
So what else are you looking at now? What's the plan?
I don't know, man. My fiance's due in July, so I want to get another fight in real quick. So Dana, you got to squeeze me in there before the baby comes out. So maybe May or June.
Dana, Alistair Lawrence from Fightland. You did 16,000 tickets in 36 hours, you said. Did you consider a bigger venue for this card, or do you wish you had done now? Because London has football stadiums and other places you can put these things.
That's interesting. That's always a tough question. Do you go to a bigger stadium? I'm pretty happy with what we did tonight. Could you go bigger? Could you? You always wonder that and start doubting whether you could or you couldn't. I'm pretty happy with what we did here tonight. I think we got a pretty good feel. I think if we did Gustafson Jones out here, you could do a stadium. Yeah. Up in, I think they got one in Stockholm that holds 40,000 people.
Well, there's stuff like Stratford, the Millennium Stadium that they built very recently out in East London that they did for the Olympics last year in London. I just wonder what's next for London now, because you said you've got planes coming in from Europe. It's a European hub. It's an international hub. Yeah. So what's next for London for the UFC? Is it more cards per year? Is it
everywhere we go around the world, no matter where we go? There's people who come in from all around the world for these fights, which always makes it fun and interesting. Our next one for London is what?
Right now it looks like February the 28th
this time next year, February 28th.
And will it be here or will it be at Pickett? It
will be
here. Okay.
O2.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Dana.
Hi.
Over here. To your right. Hi,
Hi.
Louise from MMA Crazy. Question for Jimmy. Obviously, we saw you get the eye poke. Did that throw you off slightly?
No, not really.
Were you happy with the performance? Were you happy with obviously the result?
Obviously not, but I thought the fight was going well, and that was a flash knockdown. I felt I could carry on, but I respect the referee's decision, and I'll come back stronger.
Okay. And also for Dana, talk us through what did you think of Luke's performance, and when can we expect him to be fighting next?
Luke looked awesome tonight. Not only did he took some big shots, showed a good chin, showed a lot of heart, came back. He looked phenomenal tonight. Really happy with his performance. We'll see what's next for him. He came off the Ultimate Fighter. He's had a couple of good performances, and we'll see what's next.
Question for Jimmy. Jimmy, you got a chance to showcase your ground game for once. I mean, how much of what we saw tonight is hardwired, and how much of it was actually Ricardo or your your BJJ coach actually shouting from the corner?
I couldn't really hear my coaches. The crowd was going crazy, but we've drilled bad situations and everything, and I felt comfortable on the floor, and it is what it is.
And just if you could just talk us through your emerging thoughts. I mean, obviously you're experiencing your first loss. Is there like a hunger now to get back in there straight away, or do you want to take some time out, relax a bit?
I always said I wanted to take no matter the outcome of this fight, I wanted to have but I wanted to have a good layoff and take a couple of holidays and everything and enjoy life for a bit. But we'll see what happens next.
Last question. Dana, last time we spoke, you said that you wanted to give Jimmy a big fight so that you could kind of like assess where he's at. Okay, only went to 2 rounds, but did you see enough to get a really good impression as to where you feel Jimmy's at and
It was
his
the
level?
fight of the night on a card with a lot of great fights. I thought he looked awesome, and like you said, got out of the submission, was going toe-to-toe. Both guys were in there going for the finish. It was a great fight.
Jimmy, just at the front. When Alex hit a crossroads in his career, he suffered his first defeat against Phil Davis. He actually went on to train with Phil Davis to develop him. And yourself and Alex, throughout the run-up to this fight, seemed very cordial and seemed, like friends. Would you be open to working with Alex on a training nature?
I think so, yeah.
Alex, it's the type of thing you'd like to get together, maybe?
Absolutely, that would be great.
And can I also just ask Aaliyah as well, is this what we get from you when we get a full fight camp? This kind of performance?
Yeah, this is a little bit of
Did it make a big difference for you? Obviously, last time you took a main event fight in Stockholm at 2 weeks' notice. Obviously, you've had a full...
days,
or 3 days' notice, sorry. This time you had a full fight camp.
2 weeks is a long time.
Would you like to get out again soon and keep busy now?
Of course, now I'm gonna go home, rest a little bit, and start training and get better. And hopefully I'll be back in the octagon soon again. And it's a big difference coming to a fight with a full camp. I had my whole camp together with Alex. We trained together. Was our toughest camp that we have in our careers, and it was hell. So, and it gave results. So, it feels good.
And just one final point, Luke. Any reason why you decided to suplex your coach after you had won the fight?
I just don't like him very much.
Just a couple of questions over here. Firstly, for Jimmy, I don't know if you can see me. Jimmy, over here. Obviously, it didn't go your way tonight, but can you take any positives away from this entire experience? Obviously, main eventing your first fight here in London, and also you had a lot of fan support. So, can you take any positives away from this experience?
Yeah, I always take positives out of the fights. Is I learned a lot and everything, and Alex, he's a great fighter. He's number 2 in the world, and you know, I felt good out there, and that. But obviously, the decision didn't go my way. But you know, is what it is.
My second question is to Michael Johnson. Michael over here. Michael, previous to this fight being announced, you campaigned pretty hard on Twitter to get a fight with Khabib Nurmagomedov, and obviously that didn't happen. I believe Khabib is still available, hasn't had a fight announced yet. I mean, who would you like to fight next?
Well, Khabib's fighting Dos Anjos, I believe, but you know,
Okay.
I just at that point, you know, when I was calling out people on Twitter, you know, I called out Nate Diaz, and then Nate Diaz didn't respond, so I just decided to call out Khabib because I did want a little bit of payback for when he beat my teammate Abel Chihio, and he didn't really respond. So, I mean, that's a fight that, you know, I really don't care about now. You know, I want somebody over him now. You know, I want somebody that's going to get me to the title, somebody that's going to put me in a position where I can make a run for it.
Okay. And lastly, for Dana, regarding Melvin Gillard, he's only won twice in his last 8 outings. Is there still a place in the UFC for Melvin Gillard to fight again?
I don't ever say that stuff at the press conferences.
Alan Murphy, WOW TV. 2 questions. First one for Brad, here in the middle. What was your game plan going in against Neil? Obviously, you had a change of opponent 2 weeks out. And also, did it change after it looked like Neil was getting some success on this stand-up?
Well, not really. When I train for any fight, I train to make myself a better fighter. I don't particularly train for as opponent. So when I did have a change of opponent, it didn't affect me that much. But I always knew in my, well, no disrespect, but I knew I would have better wrestling than Neil. And I was listening to my corner to get the takedowns. With the stand-up wise, as in like, I don't know, he obviously hit me with some shots, but I don't know, I got a head like a melon, I don't feel anything, you know. So it may look bad, but I didn't feel anything, to be honest. And I feel big, strong, and powerful at this weight class, and I don't think anything, I could get knocked out by guys in bigger weight classes. I don't think this weight class now for me, getting knocked out would be a problem. I've never been knocked out in my career, so I wasn't worried about his stand-up. I actually stand and trade with him quite a bit, but I think listening to my corner, they were saying, I actually didn't listen to my corner as much as I should have done because they kept on telling me to take him down all the time. But I wanted to make it a fight like how I do, and I wanted to slug a little bit, and I'm a bit masochistic. I like getting hit.
And secondly, Dana, Jimmy contested the stoppage. What are your thoughts on the stoppage itself?
Yeah, and if you watch the replay, you know, if you're the referee and the guy's in position where he goes down and his hands are wide out open like this, and he took 2 punches with his hands wide open, that's a good stoppage.
Also, I want to say thanks to Cyril for a great career.
Dana.
Take 2 more questions.
Dana, hi. Simon
Yes,
Head,
sir.
BT Sport.
Hi.
The last press conference you had over here, when Jimmy was here, you were talking about taking him over to the States for a fight.
Yep.
Obviously, this was a massive event for him, a huge step up. Is that still something in your plans now? Maybe move him over, put him in against a lower top 10 guy, try and establish him in those UFC light heavyweight rankings?
Yeah, and not just in the States, anywhere we have fights in the world, we want to move these guys around, you know. Not just him, Pickett, Gunner, all of them. Barnett, all of them.
Cool. Thank you.
One more. We've got the last one.
Dana, you announced a couple days ago UFC in Sweden October 4th, which is, doing the math, about 6 months from now, 5 months from John Jones' bout. Was that a kind of a strategic planning in the event that you could put together a possible big fight with the guy next to you against what could be a rematch against John Jones?
No.
I was giving you a compliment there, like it was well thought out.
You teed it up for me, man. I'd like to make it look like I was that smart. No, we didn't. One more? All right, one more.
Dana, just to wrap up, it's been a while since you've personally been here. Do things just seem bigger now under the leadership of Gary Cook here in Europe? And can you just sum up what the experience has been like for this UFC event, the first to kick off a new series of fight night events here in Europe?
Well, the last time I was here and we were talking about Gary Cook, I said, this is the guy. This is the guy that's going to do it. This is the guy. And what he's done here in a short amount of time, which is 17 months, not only what he's done here, but what he's done in Europe, what he's done down in the Middle East is off the charts, unbelievable. The guy is a rock star. Knew he was, told you he was, and I was right. Thank you guys so much for your support. We appreciate you. I will see you next time.